And I remember
Wow.
my teacher saying to me, this is not nice of you that you're so happy about your grade, because there are a lot of people that have a poor grade. So you should think about the other people and just, celebrate your thing in silence, or you should not be outwardly happy about it.
理解一个人从他的成长环境开始。
Let's talk a little bit more about your college time. We mentioned briefly that you studied business for a year and then you studied neuroscience for how many years? 4 years or?
3 years, yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, the undergrad programs in Europe are 3 years.
So did you enjoy that? What did
Yeah.
you like and didn't like?
So I went to Erasmus University College, which is a liberal arts and science college in Rotterdam. It's really nice because it has its separate building, and the building is in the city center of Rotterdam. So the other Erasmus departments are at a different location. So that means that your year is has 200 people. It's a very tight community in a sense. Mm-hmm. Overall, I really enjoyed my college experience. I learned how to learn. I think that's mostly what you learn during your undergrad. Got to know a lot of new people, and I loved studying in the library. We had a very nice library. Mm-hmm. So I think one thing I appreciated about the university college is that you knew your teachers very well, because the student-to-teacher ratio was really good. Mm-hmm. And they had a certain expectation of you, so they always expected you to be professional and prepare for classes. And we had discussions about the topic. And I think because they had these expectations of you at some point you internalize them.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean, or does it sound fake?
What kind of expectations? Can you be more specific?
Every course, you would have weekly meetups. Okay. With groups of 7 or something, with your classmates, and then with one professor or one TA guiding the conversation. Okay. And you would discuss a certain topic. So instead of just having a lecture and then after the lecture you have to study it, and then until you have an exam, and then you cram all the information in your head, and then you forget about it. The idea is that you talk about the material more frequently, so that you actually engage with the material in a different way.
I see.
Yeah.
So every class is like a seminar.
Yeah,
format.
I guess, yeah.
This is just for your major, or throughout the college is like
That's
that?
throughout the college, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a very, very engaging teaching philosophy.
Yeah.
So you kind of internalize this philosophy of how to keep knowledge within yourself is to talk about it more frequently with a small group of people.
Yeah, and also one thing they taught us is that you learn by teaching others. Of course, you can study a topic by yourself, and you can, master it in that way. But if you really master something, you will be able to explain it to someone else. If you can explain it to someone else, then you really know it. So I think that's something that always stayed with me. And just learning together, when you have an exam, for example, instead of just isolating yourself, which, sometimes can be helpful as well, try studying together, right? So let's say discuss the material together. That's a very collaborative way, I think, of mastering a certain topic. That's what stayed with me.
So it's a very tight community indeed. Is the college urban? Is it in a city? Is it easy to get around? Do people stay in the college mostly, spend their time there, or do they spread out?
So it is in the city center of Rotterdam. So it's very close to the market hall, actually. I don't know if people know Rotterdam, you might know where the market hall is. It's basically in the city center. You cannot get closer to the city center. And then you live in a dorm that's like a 10-minute walk from campus. It's pretty vibrant, surrounded
so
with
it's
other
very
people.
similar to NYU where you are now.
Yeah, I guess I've never really thought about that. New York is definitely more busy than Rotterdam. More noisy.
So did you find anything that's challenging during your undergrad?
I mean, I was always very nervous for exams. I found it hard to sleep before exams.
We all do.
Yeah. Another part of the philosophy of a university college is that they want to, I guess it's very similar to the American education system, where you have all your courses in 9 months or something, and then you have a long summer break. We had a 2 or 3 month summer break, and also a 1 month winter break, which may sound normal here, because I don't know how, maybe it's the same as in the US, but most universities in the Netherlands, they have shorter summer breaks. So you have more time to study during the year, but you don't really have you can't really do an internship or something in the summer because if you only have 6 weeks, then
it's kind of short.
Yeah, so you had to often go through a lot of material in a short period of time, and I think especially in the first year that was really something I had to get used to. So I just studied a lot. In the first year I didn't even socialize a lot because I was always worrying about the exams and like knowing the materials and preparing for next week's discussions, because every week you had to like make sure you were up to speed with the material.
So how many classes do people take? What's the range of number of classes?
So you have 4 quarters per year, and every quarter you take 3 courses.
That can definitely get very intense.
Yeah. But at some point you get used to it. So I think it was mostly the first year. It's also funny because my GPA, I feel like I did the most work in the first year, but my GPA was the lowest compared to the other 2 years. And over the years, my GPA increased, but I actually just learned how to, how to do well, or how to prepare and all that.
So what did you do after college?
The end of the second year of the college, I met this professor and I started doing research. When I graduated, I knew that doing research was something I really enjoyed. That summer was when I interned and when I got to know you. Right?
Yes.
But at the time it was COVID, and I don't know, for some reason I hadn't really planned too much what I wanted to do after graduating. So I signed up for a master's program a little bit last minute. And then decided to do it. It was a research master, and this was a research master in artificial intelligence.
So how did you get into artificial intelligence at this point?
This is funny because I did a neuroscience major, but in the first year of university I became a member of a really cool society. It's called the Turing Society, from Alan Turing, and that society organized boot camps and was all about programming and programming together and so on. That's how I really got into programming. Always did that next to the university. Was really involved at some point. I also taught Python for data science course and machine learning course. So that's sort of how I got into. I still really like neuroscience, but I also really liked machine learning. That's why I enrolled for an AI program, because that university is known for their computational neuroscience research. So I felt like, I can figure out what I want, more neuroscience or more artificial intelligence or other applications. So it felt like a good choice. So that master's, we had all kinds of courses, mostly focused on probabilistic deep learning or advanced machine learning. And I basically just did all my courses in the first year so that I had the whole second year to do research, which is what I really wanted to do. And I worked on using deep learning to approximate games. Solutions to games. And that's kind of how I got into multi-agent systems, and that's how I got interested in the field that I'm currently working in.
This whole artificial intelligence field is, as I understand, very competitive, right?
Competitive in what sense?
Fast-paced. There are a large number of people working to advance in different areas. Do you feel that in your current position? Or maybe talk about your current position a little bit first and then answer that question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so what I currently do is I am working on reinforcement learning, which is a subfield of AI. I'm working on multi-agent reinforcement learning, which means doing reinforcement learning in settings where you have to respond to the actions of other agents. So it's not just a stationary environment, an environment that doesn't change, but there might be other actors, like other people or moving objects that you have to respond to. And I'm working on this with an application to autonomous vehicles, because one of the main challenges in autonomous driving is exactly this, right? It's really hard to anticipate what other people might do in your environment. For example, if you look at New York, people are often jaywalking. It's a complex task. So that's why I'm applying multi-agent reinforcement learning to autonomous vehicles. There are just a lot of challenges. I think it's really nice to have a practical application of your work.
So what you're really interested in is multi-agent reinforcement learning models and algorithms. But currently you're applying it to the autonomous driving field. Are there other fields that you see applying to this, or even, autonomous driving? Currently, I imagine you're only thinking about cars, right? Are you looking at things like maybe drones or, I don't know, driving on Mars?
So yes, I'm working on autonomous vehicles right now, but I hope that the techniques or the insights we will get from doing this will also apply to other robotic systems. Like, for example, not really a Roomba, but let's say you have, maybe at some point we'll have different types of robots in our environments, and these robots will have to be able to interact with us, right? That's what autonomous vehicles also have to do. Yes, they have to drive, but the driving aspect is not the hardest part. It's more that they have to be able to interact with humans and fit into an existing system with other humans and do that in a safe way. So I think that, yeah, maybe at some point I could work on drone applications. I think there's still a lot of work to do in this current project, but yeah, I'm absolutely open to that. I think this comes sort of from the neuroscience side, but I'm also very interested in learning more general, and in general, how is it that people are so good at anticipating the actions of other people around us? If you think about it, it's really impressive actually. Like if you just see someone and you know, like, okay, that person's probably gonna do this. You probably don't think about it in a conscious way, but we are really good at this. I'm generally interested in understanding the ingredients that allow us to do this as maybe a part of intelligence, right? Who knows? Like, I think that's exciting about research. Let's see what other interesting ideas or projects come up in the future.
Do you have any concerns at all with any algorithms that you might develop to be used in, I don't know, spying or something?
It is definitely a concern. I don't think about it a lot, but yes, I think there are definitely dangerous applications of the work that I'm doing or people are doing in the space, like drones for military and things like that, right? Yeah, I think it's definitely concerning, or it's important to be aware of it. I just don't have a very expressive opinion on it at the moment because I'm just not focused on it. I'm more focused on the challenges and the day-to-day research problems.
How did you find your advisor and decide to work together?
Good questions. He actually, together with some other people, organized a seminar, an online seminar about multi-agent learning or multi-agent systems, something like that. And I attended these seminars because I thought, well, they always had great speakers. I learned about this research, and at some point I saw he was looking for PhD students. So then I applied, and when I interviewed with him, he seemed like not only a really knowledgeable person, but also a very nice person. Just a very reasonable person, someone that also cares about you as a person, not just, wants to get as much research out of you as possible.
Yeah, not a slave driver.
Yeah, exactly. And we got along, so that's why I decided to apply, and I got an offer, and this was the offer I was the most excited about. Decided, and I wanted to come to the US, so I think that was a big dream of mine. Yeah, I think ever since I interned together with you at Gershman's lab, going to the US for a PhD was a dream of mine. Yeah.
What about it looks very attractive to you compared to doing a PhD in Europe?
So one thing I really like about the US is that people have this attitude that you can do anything you want. Whatever audacious or crazy plan you come up with, people will be like, oh yeah, good for you, or you go. And you also have a lot of opportunities here in general. I think that is the environment that I wanted to be in. An environment that inspires you to grow and makes you feel like you can do anything you want, Not that that's not the case in the Netherlands, but maybe also because I'm from the Netherlands, if I do a PhD there, it feels more like normal. Because I'm going to a different country, it's like you experience everything in a different way. So maybe there are multiple reasons.
Have you ever encountered a situation where that general environment of freedom, of choosing your own interests is not the case or is jeopardized in some way?
What do you mean exactly?
In your education or in your experiences in general. You said that what attracted you to doing a PhD in the US is this general environment and attitude of going in the direction of your interest and go for it, right?
Yeah,
go-getter.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I think there are a lot of good things about the Dutch education system, but one thing that's very Dutch, that Dutch people do is we want everything to be normal. There's a saying in Dutch that Dutch people sometimes say to each other, just act normal, and I think the education system, if you stand out too much, teachers will be like, who do you think? You're not that special. That's sort of the idea. That's like the norm. In the US, people celebrate things that are special, like individualism. Everyone can do whatever they want. And if you're good at something, good for you. But in the Netherlands, it's a bit more like, well, if you stand out too much, if you're too smart, or you're really good at math and the rest of your classmates is not, then when I was in primary school, for example, I really loved arithmetic. I was not in a bad neighborhood, but most people in my class just, I don't know, only a few after that went to university, so most people were really struggling with arithmetic, for example. So I remember once getting back a grade from my test, and I was really happy with it because it was a really good grade. And in general, I was always like, I love doing tests, you know, I was really excited. And I remember my teacher saying to me, this is not nice of you that you're so happy about your grade, because there are a lot of people that have a poor grade. So you should think about the other people and just, you know, celebrate your thing in silence, or you should not be outwardly happy about it. And things like that, I think I understand where it's coming from, but I always had to adapt to sort of not stand out. Yeah, just a very Dutch thing. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate a culture where everyone can be who they are, and if you're really good at something, people are happy for you instead of saying like, oh, why do you think you're so special or something?
With that attitude that you described in the Netherlands, like don't stand out, do you feel that you've adapted by just control your expressions? Or has it become like a guidance, like I should stop trying? Like, let's say you got a good grade and maybe you want a better grade, who knows? You want what you want. And does that like attitude stop you from doing more?
I think in general, yes. I think in general, this attitude, it sort of normalizes everything, right? Also in general, if you compare the Dutch culture to American culture, it's more socialist, a little bit more socialist in that, for example, healthcare is countrywide, right? Everyone has healthcare, which is great. But also in schools, like, because they pay a lot of attention to, like, a really positive thing is that they will pay a lot of attention to people who are lacking or they're behind, right? Which is good because the average will be higher, I think. But for people that they want more, the teachers don't have time for those people because, well, you know, I have 30 people in the class and there's only so much time. So I think in general, it's, for a society, it works really well.
Everyone's taken care of.
Kind of, yeah. But it's sometimes, I think, harder to, if you're really good at something or if you're really passionate about something, it's harder to, you're not that encouraged to pursue that, right? Compared to here.
今天谢谢柯达福跟我们分享他的经历，谢谢大家观看。
谢谢大家。
点赞关注，一键三连。